Everybody, welcome and a big aloha on this Aloha Friday. I'm Natalie, and this is Life After a Cult, the channel where we expose cult nonsense, we laugh at the absurdity, and we hopefully unbrainwash ourselves in the process. So what we got coming up today, we've got Aaron Smith-Levin spilling tea hotter than a Sea Org sauna. Gary Brecka settles with Grant Cardone, and then he immediately pulls a classic Scientology move: throw your supporters under the bus and then run them over with ethics. So we're going to be talking about that. Meanwhile, Neil Gaiman's mom is out here fangirling over David Miscavige. Yes. Flat earthers are trying to distance themselves from Scientology, but it is not working. Good luck with that. And Scientology books are showing up in TikTok ads like cursed collectibles. So now technically it was an ad from back in the day, but it's on TikTok. So we have so much to talk about today. Thank you, moderators, for being here and helping. Hello to everybody in the live chat. I appreciate you. If you're on the replay, I appreciate you too. Jump in those comments. Let me know what you think about the topics that we're going over today, including our question of the day. And our question of the day is selfishly all for me, although the rest of you could probably see these suggestions, but I just feel like I want to get into a new show during my downtime. And my question is, what shows are you loving right now that I should check out? Put those in the live chat. If you're on the replay, please jump in those comments because I will check it out. All right, now let's go right over to this video here from that somebody sent me, which was very interesting.
This is exactly what we would expect to see in a social group whose very collective identity is predicated on something that is not based in reality. To put it simply, this is exactly what we see within the structures of a cult, for which I think there is no better analogy than looking at the structure of one of the best known cults in the modern age, Scientology. At the bottom, you have the vulnerable that are being preyed upon. In the middle, you have the entitled who believe that through the actions of the cult, they are reclaiming what they feel they deserve or what is owed them, while narcissistically subsisting off the desperation of the vulnerable. And at the top, you have the grifters, who are the small group that know the truth and actively prey upon the entitled and the vulnerable alike through an authoritative control of the behaviors, information access, thoughts, and emotions of the groups beneath them. So
doesn't that sound a lot like the Sea Org or how the structure is set up in Scientology, where you have public Scientologists, right? Your everyday people who pay ridiculous amounts of money, who get a ridiculous amount of pressure put on them to pay that money, who are manipulated into thinking that you don't need your 401k, retirement, schmirement. No, what? College fund. Forget about those kids. You don't need that. You need to be putting everything into Scientology because we are the only people who can possibly do anything about this planet in the shape that it is in. I mean, ask Tom Cruise, right? He said that. So I thought that was interesting. And I absolutely love that Scientology is the standard when it comes to this is like a cult, kind of like Scientology in that blah, blah, blah. I am not hating that. I'm actually really loving that. Now let's go over and look at some L. Ron Hubbard fiction here. I swear to God, there's no way in my mind that Scientology can come back from the internet moving forward. I think it's just going to continually going to get worse because there's so many ways that people are getting out the truth about not just Scientology, but L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige as well. This one is about L. Ron Hubbard. Check it out.
I turned aliens, self-help, and space volcanoes into a billion-dollar belief system. But did you know during World War II, he shelled a Mexican island by mistake, practiced black magic, lived with a rocket scientist, then stole his girlfriend? Welcome to the bizarre life of L. Ron Hubbard, fictioneer messiah. A pulp sci-fi writer with a Guinness World Record, 1,084 published works, Hubbard's wildest stories might have been the ones he told about himself. He claimed to have visited Venus, to have died and come back.
He also said that he had gone to heaven twice.
That he wrote a manuscript so powerful it drove readers insane. Called himself the best navigator in the world, despite being relieved of command twice. And in his 1957 book, All About Radiation, he listed himself as a nuclear physicist and
which he absolutely was not. I mean, that's really bold.
A medical doctor.
These days, it's like I feel like it's harder, right, with the internet and the way that people can fact check things. I mean, my own kids have been fact checking me since the advent of Google. So it's just so much easier to follow up and find out, hey, is that true? And then let's not forget about books like Let's Sell Them a Piece of Blue Sky by John Atack or Barefaced Messiah by Russell Miller, which really just gets into who L. Ron Hubbard was and what actually really happened. That's right, Anna. Liar, liar, pants on fire. That is pretty much our response to this. All of Scientology's lies about L. Ron Hubbard. Sandy McKenna says he didn't just write fiction. He started living it and made everyone else pay admission. That is a good one. All right, now we're going to go over to TikTok because there's some weirdness here that I have not seen this before. I don't know if you guys have, or if anybody, whether you've never been in Scientology, but you're all in on ending this cult, or my former Scientology friends, look at this and see if you can answer. Because I did not have an answer for the question that this TikTok person posed. I don't have an answer for this, but I agree it's weird. Check it out.
Models holding Scientology books. This is a vintage knitting book. Any page where they are holding a book. This one is Earthly Paradise. Come on. Lucilla is a reputable brand. I do not understand why this is full of Scientology text. If someone could help me out and solve the mystery, I've been dying over it for years.
So let's look at that again. Hold on.
Why are these child models holding Scientology books? This is a vintage knitting book. Any page where they are holding a book. This one is Earthly Paradise. Come on. Lucilla is a reputable brand.
Now, I'm not familiar with Earthly Paradise as a Scientology book. I don't know if it's a book L. Ron Hubbard wrote, but the other book the kid is holding is definitely a Scientology book. So she makes a good point. I'm going to link it down below along with everything we're going to go over today. I'm going to link it in the description of this video. I don't have an answer. I don't know why that is. I mean, I can kind of guess was a Scientologist involved in shooting these ads and then thought, oh, I'll put in some Scientology books. And of course, it's from back in the day. So I don't know. But if you guys know something about, let me know. Let me know. Definitely let me know. I'm just looking quick to see if anybody has an answer to this. I do not. Let's see. Nope. I don't think anybody has an answer yet. I'm going to watch for that. So keep an eye out for that. It's weird, right? Scientology books in those ads. Like, yeah, let's have the kid, just break out the way to happiness or whatever it is. It's weird. It's weird. Okay, moving on. We need to talk about some serious craziness going on with the fangirling of David Miscavige. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but Scientology has been on doing the world tour in the trying to combat, I can only guess, the criticism of David Miscavige, the leader of Scientology, or dictator, as most of us say. We should wake up the Office of Special Affairs for this. And it is Aloha Friday, so let's do it with a lot of joy. David Miscavige, wake up your people. Oh, I love it when they hold hands. Okay, Office of Special Affairs. Maybe you can even help us out with that last one. You know an answer to it. I don't know. So, but now we're going to get into some other stuff that I think you would really like, and it has to do with fangirling for David Miscavige. And you might be thinking, Natalie, who's fangirling for David Miscavige? Oh, a bunch of people. The few Scientologists they have left are fangirling for David Miscavige, including Neil Gaiman's mother. So let's look at this. I'm going to show you. Scientology has a whole website up that is nothing but fangirling for David Miscavige. It is davidmiscavige.org. So you can go on to videos, right? Because you click on it. And I don't know, I haven't looked at a lot of websites of, leaders of different churches and things like that. But do they have multiple videos of their members fangirling over the leader? Because this seems strange and odd to me. But you guys tell me. Let's check this out. So it's got, David Miscavige, people who know David Miscavige, and every video is basically like some POW video of like, no, David Miscavige, he's the best. He's so nice. He's so kind. He let me walk by him and he didn't even trip me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really what it gives. But you know what? Let's you guys be the judge of it. Don't just listen to me. Let's look. So when you got time, you can go through and watch some of this craziness. There's even somebody from the Jive Aces here. Pat Clouden, that guy's been around in Scientology forever, just like Jim Meskimen. Oh, look, you got the captain of the Free Winds there. Mr. Miscavige puts in order wherever he is. He puts in order in every sector of the Church of Scientology. He's an extraordinary leader, and I'm very fortunate to have him as my leader. Yeah. Not what I've heard. Okay, so let's go down here. Here we go. Sheila Gaiman. This is the one I wanted you guys to look at.
When David Miscavige was...
This is Neil Gaiman. Yes, that Neil Gaiman, the one up on all kinds of disgusting charges. The Neil Gaiman who wrote Sandman, which became a show, a whole bunch of things. Coraline. I mean, you guys know. Well, this is his mom singing the praises of David Miscavige. And remember, Neil Gaiman's parents were in the Guardian's office, which is the back in the day Office of Special Affairs. But now it just appears she's fangirling for David Miscavige. Let's listen to what she has to say. The woman who raised Neil Gaiman.
Here, he would have been 11 years old. Then he attended the local school in East Grinstead, and he went to Sackville College. And he was actually, I know about it because he was in the same class as my niece, Jo Stevens. And they were only about 2 weeks apart in their age. And
she's talking about David Miscavige now.
A few years ago, when he came here, he took time to go back to his old school and have a look around it, which I thought was very nice.
David Miscavige took time to go look at his old school. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I hope somebody called the media and let them know.
And he's always very, very friendly and amazingly knows what one has been doing and asks questions about that.
So this you'll hear often, like, oh, and he asked me questions about what I was doing. Trust me when I tell you, David Miscavige is not sitting there figuring out what every Scientologist that he's going to see is doing. What ends up happening is he, I'm sure, has people around him. You know, they're at a place who lean over and go like, okay, that is the Gaiman mother. She raised Neil Gaiman, who's in huge amounts of trouble right now. Probably no doubt because of his upbringing and all the auditing he got in Scientology really messed him up in the head. But she's a big fan of yours. I mean, I imagine it's something like that. Let's see. Is there a little bit more of this?
Which is incredible because there are so many thousands and thousands of Scientologists. But he seems to know something about each one. In East Grinstead at St. Hill, we have an arts festival, and this year was actually its 25th year.
Okay, so she goes on to talk about the art festival and how David Miscavige asked or inquired about it. It is super cringe. It is so cringe, and there's one after the other. And again, I ask you, tell me in the comments, tell me in the chat. Is it normal for the leader of a religion, I put in air quotes, but in the US, that's what it's considered, to have an entire website dedicated to them and videos of parishioners totally fangirling and singing the praises, one after the other after the other? I don't know. That doesn't feel normal to me, and it feels cringe, and it gives definitely hostage situation for these people. So now, tell me what you think about that. Tell me about it in the comments and if you're on the replay, and let's keep an eye on this live chat here. Okay, so now let's jump on over to Liz Gale, y'all. Liz Gale is doing what I hope is a weekly thing where she's responding to culty TikToks. This was fabulous. We're going to look at a clip because Liz Gale shares a very interesting piece of information about Delphi, which is the Scientology boarding school in Oregon that Liz Gale herself went to. I think she was like 8 years old when she went, and she shares some stuff about, she went back to the school. I do believe it was before she left Scientology. Otherwise, they wouldn't let her in. and heard some interesting things. Let's take a look at what she had to say here. Let's pull this up. Take a little look. And if you aren't already following Liz Gale exposes Scientology is the channel she's doing a lot of the Scientology stuff on.
The headmaster was giving a speech. And he literally said to us, this is not a joke. He literally said to us, we have too many Asians at our school. And I laugh because I'm so uncomfortable even repeating that. But that's what he said.
The headmaster at Delphi, if you got that, at some type of school visit briefing where people come and learn about it, I don't know, where alumni come back, I don't know, says we have too many Asian people. We need less Asians at Delphi. What is up with that, Scientology? What is up with that? Doesn't it very much, there seems to be a theme here lately that's really coming to the forefront. I mean, it's been known about for a long time. People have talked about, and asked, like, is there a level of racism in Scientology? And personally, other than some things L. Ron Hubbard has written, the Scientologists I knew personally, I can't say that I ran into a bunch of racists, but this obviously exists. Here's my take on this. I feel like in Scientology, sometimes what ends up happening is it becomes more about, it gets twisted in with racism and this superiority complex that somehow we know more because we have the truth. We have the only technology that works. So we have to help these people who are nothing without us. And honestly, they say that about all races. But when you look at what's happening with Scientology in Clearwater right now with the Save the Garden project, which we're going to talk about that too. There's an update and another call to action. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the video. And yes, the other day in my recap, we talked about how there was posted right at reception a long letter from L. Ron Hubbard about Black people and how even Black people could get by if they would only do Scientology. Very, like, it gives massive racism. It's so inappropriate. So I think what this story Liz is sharing too is very timely.
It was a 10-year reunion of some of the biggest Scientologists that you know now graduated from there. Executive directors now and big donors and their children, et cetera, all went to this boarding school. And he wanted more Scientologists, more generational Scientologists, because what was happening is the only other people they could get were from overseas.
Wow. So he's like, yeah, no more. We don't need like so many Asians. Try and just like, we need more Scientologists. Well, what if the Scientologists are Asian? What would you say then? I mean, it's just a weird thing to say.
Anyway, isn't that wild?
It's totally wild, Liz Gale, and I'm glad you're sharing that. And check it out. I'm going to link the whole video down below because she does react to a whole bunch of culty TikTok videos, and it is fabulous. Sandy McKenna says, they teach that humans evolved from clams, but heaven forbid the honor roll reflect the real world. Yeah, exactly. Can't have that being known. All right, now Declare Dave is back, and he's back doing some Scientology content, and he did a video breaking down what L. Ron Hubbard says about evil purposes. Evil purposes. Y'all have evil purposes. L. Ron Hubbard said so. So let's take a look at a clip from this video from Declare Dave.
It's evil purposes. An evil purpose is a destructive purpose, intention, or postulate. Now, in Scientology, the word postulate is slightly different than the word that you would think in normal world. In the normal world, a postulate is just like a thought that you think that something might be something. Well, in Scientology, a postulate is something your mind creates. Okay, it is not they literally believe that you can postulate things into existence. You can postulate, kind of like in the prosperity Christian doctrine world, you can create all this, whatever.
It's basically like manifesting. It's Scientology's version of manifesting. But in this policy letter here, this bulletin that L. Ron Hubbard did, he says an evil purpose is a destructive purpose, intention, or postulate. I discovered in 1970 that evil purposes are the basis of insanity. So L. Ron Hubbard's basically saying, well, under all that, you know, if somebody's suffering from some severe mental illness or insanity, it's because they have evil purposes. He is prompted by these purposes to commit overts, and in Scientology, an overt is like a sin. Such a person often tries to keep these overts carefully hidden while continuing to commit them. And when you hide an overt in Scientology, that's called a withhold. So all this is justification to pull overts and withholds out of people and to blame them for things that happen, because it's never Scientology. If things don't work for you in Scientology, it's because you have evil purposes. What like an easy out, you know? And again, here is Scientology changing the definitions of words to fit their narrative, to come up with their own language, because that is like part of it, is in the cult leader handbook. Try to have your own language so you can confuse people. Change the definitions of words like open-minded. Make your people think it's a bad thing to be open-minded. They should be closed-minded and only thinking about Scientology 24/7. Now, we're going to go over to L. Ron Hubbard Way now and take a look at some clips from Scientology Audit, Streets LA, William Good, the Good father, right? We got any Good girls in the house here? Put a 1 in the chat if you're here. I'll start. Good girl or Good grandmas. I'm kind of more like with the Good grandmas, I think, being that I'm a grandma. All right, so we're going to look at this. This is outside, right off of L. Ron Hubbard Way, outside of the Scientology Los Angeles organization. Hey, hold on, you guys. Where's my aloha button? We got to do some aloha business. I'm seeing your ones. Keep them coming. Aloha. Rochelle, thank you so much for gifting a Life After a Cult membership. We are doing a members only live on Tuesday. This week got crazy, but we are going to do it on Tuesday. Probably like 4 or 4:30. I'll put a notification later about that, but I appreciate it. If you want to become a member of the channel, there's different levels. It's a great way to further support me and the channel. Nancy will throw a link in the chat, and there's also a link in the description of pretty much every video that I do, and I appreciate it. And I have a lot of fun during our members only chats. I love seeing all your ones. Good. Okay. That's fabulous. Yes, Dan, absolutely. Being a good man. Absolutely. Good anything. And welcome, Dan. Okay, now let's go take a look at this, because this was fantastic. Scientology Audit, Streets LA, William Good, Jessica Palmadessa, they have just been on fire with these shorts here on YouTube, but also things that they're doing on TikTok. And William's shorts about Scientology are blowing up. One had like, I think 20 million views or something. And this is absolutely amazing, because what does that mean? That means that word is getting out about Scientology and why it's a human trafficking, family destroying cult, right? The reasons why, and that's what I'm liking with a lot of the videos and the shorts that William's putting up. Number one, it's reaching a crazy number of people. I mean, they are just blowing up, which means there are millions and millions. Office of Special Affairs. Pay attention if you're not already looking on William's page. These are getting millions of views. It is amazing, and I'm loving it. So let's take a look at this one.
Hi there. Unfortunately, I'm a suppressive person, and I just wanted to ask you a few things about Scientology if you have a few minutes. First off, I was going to ask you about OT3. You guys familiar with OT3?
So she walks away. She's like, I'm out. But that dude's still sticking around.
It might be above your level. I heard that if you learn something that's above your level, you get pneumonia. I don't really want you to get pneumonia. But anyway, let me tell you about Xenu. No, I got to.
Oh, he said the magic word, Xenu. This makes me think that, are they telling the lower level Scientologists that if you hear the word Xenu, walk away, run away? Because it does seem to be like the magic word to mention. And the thing is, the only people in Scientology who know about Xenu and body thetans are people, of course, who've done the upper levels, right? The operating thetan levels. But I'm noticing in a lot of these shorts, I feel like because I doubt this many people have done the upper levels who are in the Sea Org, but they do seem to recognize that I can't be here when this is being said. And Scientology likes to tell their people, oh, it's squirrel. It's an altered version of what it really is. No, it's not. I did the upper levels. It's the whole story. What South Park did is right on. Hey, Farrell, Cheryl, and Dusty. Good to see you. I'm excited about the protest tonight in Clearwater. It is Friday. Aloha Friday. Hey, Haggis Basher. Good to see you. Okay, so let's finish watching this.
Tell you about Zeno, it's a great story. So Zeno from the Galactic Confederacy, like millions of years ago, he came over to Earth with 1,000 popsicle. I'm sorry, 1,000,000 popsicle people, and dropped.
See, now he's just walking away, but slowly. He's walking away slowly because he doesn't want to make like it's a big deal.
Them in a volcano and then dropped the hydrogen bomb on a volcano. That's what the Scientologists believe. They believe that story. How you doing?
I think the best part of that video, I love how William introduces himself as a suppressive person. Hey there, I'm a suppressive person. I mean, just like be upfront with it, right? It's so great. Now let's go over to the Hollywood Testing Center where the same is occurring. A lot of weirdness going on there because you've got Scientology trying to be out there and hand out their pamphlets and their propaganda and get back to having the doors open and recruiting for Scientology. But lo and behold, anytime somebody walks up with a cell phone, they got to shut the doors. And there's a lot of weird ways that they're letting their people know that when somebody's coming. Let's take a look at this. This one is also this shows you the warning system they have at the Hollywood Testing Center. And this is from Scientology Audit Streets, LA.
Inside. Inside. Inside.
Did you hear the beeping? It's the beeping. So he's being beeped. Warning, warning, warning. Live streamer nearby might talk about Xenu, might ask questions about Scientology. Listen. Beep, 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 beep. And then
Inside.
he goes, boom.
Inside.
And we've been watching this guy for a while now, and I've been trying to figure out, is he a Scientology staff member? Is he a Sea Org member who for some reason is assigned to the testing center? Is he a Scientologist in trouble? And so he's having to work out of lower conditions in Scientology, which are steps you have to do to get back into the good graces. That's right, Greggy. I love the alarm they have for streets. It's hilarious. Like everybody can hear it. Here's the thing that's so weird though, right, Kayla? Code red, code red, code red. Code red. William Good coming down the street. Yep, that's right. They can probably spot him. Spot him from a mile away with all their crazy cameras. Code red. It's exactly like that. It's bizarre. And it's what Scientology doesn't understand is it's actions like this that actually make you look even more culty. Like it looks even stranger. Now you're beeping your people to come running in. It is bizarre. Again, right? Yeah, I know. I was thinking that too. Satan, is that a pager? Like, do they have pagers? Are they really back using pagers? I'm not sure. It seemed like it could be. I didn't think pagers were even made anymore. And that's right, Dan. I guess they can't handle the truth. Skyfire says, is that beeping Morse code? I know. What do you think it says? Tell me in the chat. Tell me on the replay in the comments. Do you think that beeping is Morse code? And if it is, what does it say? What does it say? It definitely doesn't say not culty. That's for sure. Because they're so culty about it. All right. So he goes and he does that. Now let's go over. We're gonna look at some more LA stuff in a little bit, but I wanted to pop over to Moose on the Loose because Moose on the Loose went to Scientology New Orleans, and he's been out there multiple times. And now I'm like, okay, are they closed? He was there when they were supposed to be open, and so this is a really quick clip, but it is something to keep an eye on. Office of Special Affairs, is Scientology in New Orleans? Is it closed? Is that what's happening? Did, people get the day off? Like, what's the deal? But let's look at what Moose on the Loose said when he was there.
Hey, y'all, it's a quickie. Moose on the Loose 38. Look at this place. No one's here. They say it's still open, though. I don't know.
Something to keep an eye on. So if you want to follow that, check out Moose on the Loose. You can find him here on YouTube. It's weird. Okay, so Dan's saying, nah, it isn't Morse code, just a regular beep. Morse code would be a certain set of beeps in groups. Or is it, Dan? Let us go down the conspiracy rabbit hole on this, Dan. Come with me. It's so bizarre. It's just so weird. I'd be embarrassed. Can you imagine working anywhere, being anywhere where you're beeped to come in like that? I mean, I could see if there was like, I don't know, it was an earthquake warning or LA. So, probably not like a tsunami or something, but some severe weather I could see. But I just think this is really weird and strange and bizarre. That's right, Chuck Ross. It would be off purpose to teach them Morse code. Exactly. Scientology ain't trying to do all that. Scientology probably has its own set of Morse codes. Arkansas Flamingo, I think you're right. Paula says it's hub code. Hub code. All right, now we got to go talk about this Gary Brecka, Aaron Smith-Levin, Grant Cardone situation. We covered this a little while ago. Gary Brecka went on growing up in Scientology after he was in this lawsuit with Grant Cardone. So Gary Brecka, not a Scientologist. Grant Cardone, Scientologist. They're working together, and then stuff just starts to go wrong. And Gary Brecka's just not down with this. So they have a breakup, and then there's these lawsuits back and forth. Apparently, Gary Brecka says that Grant Cardone even tried to sue Gary Brecka's children. So Gary Brecka went from hitting up different podcasts, like he was on Growing Up in Scientology and another one, and just spilling the tea about this Grant Cardone situation. And then all of a sudden, Gary Brecka is throwing those people under the bus who were basically helping him out. These are people who were helping him out, who were like, hey, when he got into his beef with Cardone, these are people who like had his back about it. So hold on a sec here. I need to pull something else up here. We'll look at, oh no, that's not it. Nancy, can you do me a favor and throw that clip in our private chat and I'll pull it back up. Okay, so this has been going on. And if you guys might remember seeing the short where Grant Cardone calls out Aaron Smith-Levin and somebody else. Well, Gary Brecka then goes on Grant Cardone's channel and does, speaking of hostage videos, this like 20-minute hostage video that was so cringe and uncomfortable. It was crazy. So let's take a look at this clip on Aaron's channel and see if we can get the deal of what's happening here.
Gary Brecka, by the way, Gary, you're not off the hook here, okay? Because there's something to be said for having a spine. And you're the one who initiated the litigation against Grant Cardone for you to fold like a lawn chair and throw the people who supported you along the way under the bus is truly disgusting and spineless behavior. So you're not getting.
Yeah, and he did. And it was Gary Brecka who reached out to Growing Up in Scientology. It wasn't Aaron tracking him down. Gary Brecka's publicist people went ahead and reached out to Aaron.
Getting off scot-free. But Grant was basically able to force Gary into doing a little 20-minute interview with him where they essentially threw me and a couple other podcasters, Patrick Bet-David and JT Fox, under the bus.
To the piece of garbage Aaron boy growing up as a religious bigot. Your life is so miserable, you punk. And to both of you, keep clickbaiting that name. Grant Cardone's my name. I grew up on the bayou. Now I fly right by you. You blow on my name and you brought me fame.
Gary Brecka, by the way, Gary, you're not off the hook here, okay? Because there's something to be said for.
How hilarious is that? I thought that was so great too. And then Grant Cardone's like, right, keep clickbaiting my name. Okay. I got no problem doing that. It brings me fame. So are you saying that all the people who are calling you out on 10X being potentially, allegedly its own cult because people have left and said that, and the tactics that you and your wife use on people are very culty and just reek of Scientology? Sure, we can totally keep talking about it. Haggis Basher says, wow, that's a giant boo baby. A giant boo baby. Yep. Old Fritz, Scientology hate video right there. Yeah. Picture Leslie, his little rap. At least he's trying, right? With his little rap. James still says, thinks he's a crapper instead of a rapper. Mrs. Bromlett says, Grant Cardone is like Michael Scott, except more cringe, dumb, and racist. Jesse says, what a child. He acts like he's 10. Yeah, truly, right? Greggy says, LOL, this guy's out there cutting wrestling promos. Yeah. It's bizarre. So basically in that video, I'm going to link it down below. You got to go watch the whole video with Aaron. I'm going to show you another clip because he brings the receipts to prove all of this, which I don't think Gary Brecka or Grant Cardone probably expected.
I'm going to reveal the actual receipts. I am not the one who initiated contact with Gary Brecka. I received a message from a mutual friend saying Gary's publicist is awaiting your phone call. Here is his number. Please call him. Then I had dialogue with Gary's publicist saying, you know, what I wanted to, how I thought the conversation would go. I'm going to show you guys the receipts where I was told that one of the conditions of doing the interview is Gary Brecka wanted final edit approval for the interview. Okay. And I'm going to show you the receipts where I sent the final approval. And then in like 15 minutes later, he gave me back the full approval. So in this interview with Gary and Grant, Gary acted like he was shocked. He clutched his pearls at the idea that he did an interview with me and then found out that one of my biggest beefs was Grant's belief system. And oh my God, Gary Brecka would never have any beef with anyone's belief system.
They had intentions other than the intentions, I think.
I'm going to reveal the actual receipts.
Yeah. So in the Grant Cardone, Gary Brecka video, they talk a little bit about it. And what I think is interesting is Gary Brecka, like they don't say the word Scientology. Gary Brecka looked like he was struggling for the words to not say Scientology when he was saying like, yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with what you believe. It was so awkward. You can just tell, like, what did they do to this man to make him go do this hostage video with Grant Cardone? I mean, really, like what was it? So check out the video. It's wild. I'm gonna link it down below and you can find it on Growing Up in Scientology. I don't know if you guys heard, but Scientology Audit Streets LA got some privacy complaints from a video from Scientology. He says, update, Scientology has filed 3 privacy complaints for a video that shows high-ranking OSA staff like Donatella Kevinar and Ed Parkin, as well as Moxon's assistant. Now, this makes sense because Scientology, they don't want their Sea Org members being shown, right? I think it's interesting the things that Scientology will push back on and try and do privacy claims on. It seems to very much be around specific Sea Org members showing up on video. And why would Scientology not want them to show up on video? Because their family might be like, oh my gosh, I thought they were dead. Where were they? What happened? All of the things, right? I mean, there's a million reasons why. So this to me is very interesting. So I'm going to read it to you. It says, hi, Scientology Audit Streets LA. We'd like to inform you that we've received a privacy concern about your content. So it talks about before we review the content, we'd like to give you an opportunity to review and if necessary, modify or remove. Receiving this notice does not imply a violation of YouTube privacy guidelines and no action has been taken against your content channel at this time. So the reported content is at like 33 seconds to 35 seconds. It's not even the whole video. So let's take a look here. Oh, the video is not up. It was up this morning and it is not up now. Okay, so they may have succeeded. I don't know if William Good privated it or what he did, but it is not up there now. The video is basically he catches all of these Sea Org members coming out of a building and getting onto a bus. And there is very clear footage of them, including, like was mentioned earlier, a couple of members of the Office of Special Affairs. Didn't my former Scientology friends, didn't Kevinar, now I'm going blank on it. What was it? Already X'd out of it. Kevinar, didn't she have kids? Y'all remember? They were twins or close together in age. They're my age now. But was it Jade and Yasha? Y'all remember? Anybody remember? Tell me in the chat. If you're on the replay and you're in the comments. Wasn't there that their last name? I think that person is their mom that triggered Scientology to go, hey, don't show this to people. And I thought that name sounds so familiar, not just because of OSA, but from my time in the Sea Org. And I feel like I always wondered what happened to those kids. So if anybody knows, let me know. And if you don't want to post it here, email me, Natalie@lifeafteraccult.com. I remember them from back in the day. And I remember them not having an easy go at it and getting into quite a bit of trouble as well. So if anybody knows, let me know. But I was curious about that. All right, now we are going to go over to the underground bunker to look at something here because you guys, I got to tell you, just when you think it's safe to go back in the water, Scientology, their ugly head comes up and they're like, yeah, no. And this woman came forward and she is sharing some amazing tea and dirt and is raising some questions at the same time. So let me pull that up and we will look at that because I thought this was a great one too. Okay, wait, first I might have to let me enter the phone. I don't want to lose my place though. I'm leaving off on the underground bunker. I always get distracted by these calls. Life After a Cult. This is Natalie. How can I help you? Okay. You think you might be in a cult. Let's unpack it. Do they control your time? Okay. They have you prepping all year? You got to explain that more. For one event. So like Scientology, but maybe with better branding. Do they ever guilt you into staying? Say stuff like, without you, the mission fails. Or think of the children. Wow. The children won't get their marshmallow eggs unless you comply. That's weaponized sugar. Classic. Do they assign you tasks that feel oddly covert? Okay. So just to clarify, you're sneaking into homes at night in full disguise to leave candy. Okay, sir, ma'am, non-binary woodland entity. This is textbook cult behavior, but with a seasonal twist. Yeah. I'm just noting though, breaking and entering sugar dealer with performance anxiety, right? If the shoe fits, that's how you're describing it. What is your name? Peter. What's your last name? Cottontail. Okay. I'm going to say something that may feel confrontational, but I think you might be the Easter Bunny. And before you say, but I like bringing joy, let me remind you, so did every Sea Organization recruiter I ever met. And they stole my childhood and made me sit perfectly still for 6 hours while being yelled at about my counter intention. Well, look, listen, Peter, just because you're hoping, right? Hopping to everyone else's expectations doesn't mean you can't hop out. You can. Yeah, you've got worth beyond jelly beans. You don't have to wear the giant pastel disguise just to be accepted. And just between us, the ears are cute, but they're not you. Well, and a side note, Scientology wishes they had your holiday reach and brand recognition. You don't want to partner with them. You have parades, they have lawsuits. Yes, exactly. You are not a cult follower, Peter. You're a seasonal icon in recovery. Yes. Yes, that's right. You don't need any connection to Scientology to do what you do. Yep. Do it. Do it. You got this. Yes. Go have a cult-free day. Oh my gosh, you guys. We saved another soul from the clutches of Scientology. Just another rabbit reclaiming his identity and another day on the Life After a Cult hotline. I am so proud of that rabbit. So proud. Okay, moving on now. Underground bunker. See, I didn't lose my place this time. That's right, Sandy McKenna. He breaks into your house, hides cryptic eggs, and expects gratitude. Sounds culty to me. Oh, and don't worry, E.S. Gotcher. That particular Easter bunny was just falling prey to Scientology. It's not all Easter bunnies out there. Okay, let's get back to it here. Underground Bunker, Tony Ortega. You can find this on his Substack. She worked with Scientology spies and celebs and still has photos to prove it. This is such an excellent article and really gets into a lot. And the photos too really are amazing. We're gonna look at a couple of those. Some of you, I'm not sure if you read this already, but I was like, this is fascinating. Let me just get this pulled up. This is about Marty Carlson is her name. Oh, good. You can see it. Okay. So Marty Carlson was just doing some innocent digital housekeeping, as one does. And boom, she unearthed footage of one of Scientology's most elusive spies playing with her toddler like it's a play date, not an international fugitive hideout. And the spy in question, none other than Dawn Alverzo, aka Jeff Marino, aka Jerry Levine, aka Scientology's Jason Bourne, if Jason Bourne wore bad 70s suits and tried to frame women with bomb threats. This man literally bugged the IRS, infiltrated law firms, and roommate catted poor Paulette Cooper. And now we've got him on tape at a birthday party with cake and balloons. I mean, it's just iconic. So Marty's husband was in charge of public relations for Operation Snow White. You guys have heard of that. She didn't know what it was about at the time. Meanwhile, it was literally the largest domestic spy operation in U.S. history. Scientology infiltrated over 136 government entities. She describes herself as the establishment officer, which is a job in Scientology for the Guardian's Office Public Relations Bureau. That basically means like cult middle management queen with a clipboard and zero clearance to the real shenanigans. Because in Scientology, even within the Office of Special Affairs, they keep things separated. The left hand does not always know what the right hand is doing. That's how they maintain a lot of their secrecy. So it's kind of sounds like the CIA in a lot of ways. So then you got baby tyrant Miscavige, fresh off his tyrant training wheels, right? Back in the day. He rolls in screaming, flailing like a raging toddler who just discovered the power of middle management. And according to Marty, he took the already tense environment and turned it into something that was extreme toxicity. So basically, he was an HR violation with hair gel. I mean, he just turned the whole thing upside down. It was already bad enough because of L1 Hubbard. But this is, again, another report, another person from back in the day saying, yeah, he made it so much worse. Marty got kicked out in, I think it was 1982. And she left with a theatrical heel click, like she was in The Wizard of Oz, okay? Escaping Kansas, except in this version, Kansas is a psychotic bureaucracy run by people who think Xenu is real. Although I feel like half of them in the Office of Special Affairs don't really know that the Xenu thing is real. So she and her husband went all the way up to operating Thetan level 8. Okay, that's max level woo-woo. That's as high as you can get in Scientology auditing before they realized they were broke and spiritually bankrupt. He became a top field staff member. So you get like you deliver Scientology. You basically, as a field staff member, you bring people into Scientology. You get them onto their next services, right? You quote, help them out, and then you get a commission for doing it. It's like the dark side of MLM cult spirituality. So then Marty accidentally helped leak minutes from a top secret flag meeting with a line in it that said, "It is unsuccessful to leave people out of control." Let that sink in. It is unsuccessful to leave people out of control, right? It's like the creepiest sentence ever casually spoken about adult humans. And that sentence alone created a Scientology meltdown so dramatic, you think someone like unplugged the e-meter cans in the middle of a session, right? She doesn't only talk about that. She actually also talks about Neil Gaiman. Yep, that Neil Gaiman. We just talked about him ourselves and how his mom is out there fangirling for David Miscavige. So Neil Gaiman, fantasy author, Gothic icon, and former teenage Guardian's Office worldwide staff auditor. He even audited Marty at 17 when he was 17. Can you imagine being psychoanalyzed by teenage Neil Gaiman, right? On an e-meter. Tell me about your trauma. So his Wikipedia page somehow skips over the part where he was working for Scientology Spy Bureau, right? As was his dad. This is Neil Gaiman. And we've talked about that before, that it definitely seems to be underplayed, almost like he makes it sound like his family was in Scientology and it's something his family did. No, you were auditing people in Scientology. You ran a Scientology organization. And this article with Marty Carlson actually backs that up as well, which I thought was very interesting. So she basically says that Neil was a little too into fellow staff members, which in Scientology is a capital offense punishable by ethics conditions, security checks, and being forced to sell Dianetics books. So she calls out both Neil and his now ex-wife, who was also on staff. They weren't just studying Scientology, because that's the shore story. That's the acceptable truth, that Neil and Mary Gaiman met while they were studying Scientology. No, they were full-blown staff members. So she calls that out. So she also talks a little bit about Neil Gaiman and his marriage with Amanda Palmer, because they had an open marriage and now they're facing allegations of misconduct. So she talks about that some as well. It's really interesting. And the cool thing is, like, here's the photos. That's the guy. This is the guy, one of Scientology's biggest spy back in the day. Let's see. Does she got more? Look at that. That's so cute. I love these older photos. So that looks like when they got married. Here's another one here. I think this is Neil Gaiman here, back in the day. Which does look like him. God, look at that big. Is that like a stereo there? Can you imagine if we still had those today? All right, so those are the photos, but I'm going to link it down below so you guys can go read the whole thing, because it is interesting. It's like crazy interesting. Now let's go back over to the Hollywood Testing Center, where let's see, Jessica Palmadessa has something to say about Scientologists and their inability to communicate, because L. Ron Hubbard says communication is a universal solvent, and yet we don't see a lot of that going on. Let's check this out.
Scientologist aborts
Come
mission.
on, they don't want the pamphlet for your science fiction religion. He's got to go now, because he's got to go. He's got to go. Yeah, you don't. All right, wait. I had a question about your science fiction religion. Hold on.
You notice how he is in the middle of a conversation, mid-conversation with these people, but he just walks off. And this is what blows my mind the most about what's happening outside of Scientology there at the Hollywood Testing Center. You're just walking off in the middle of a conversation. Does no one see how this is weird or looks weird? Yeah, that's right, Don Moore. He must have a degree in the skedaddle, because there's a lot of skedaddling going on there, and it is rude. Let's see what else she had to say. I think there's a little bit more of this.
Hey, I was going to tell him that. So their leader of their science fiction religion said a man is only as alive as he can communicate. They're terrible at communicating. I'm sure.
Yep, they are.
The course is only like a couple of grand, you know.
That's right. It's just the strangest thing, just like disappear. What are the people thinking that he's talking to? And there's video after video, short after short, and these shorts are going viral. It is crazy. Jessica Palmadessa also went over to the Blue Buildings, where she went undercover at the Blue Buildings. Sometimes you got to wear a disguise. I thought this was hilarious. This had me laughing so hard. Watch this.
Scientology building, but this comment says to come back in a disguise so they don't recognize me. Hi guys, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. I had a question about your communications class. Excuse me, lads. Gee.
There's something so creepy about her in that. It reminds me of, what was that? What was that? Was it a doll or a cartoon? Hobby something. Hobby. It's just like on the tip of my tongue. You guys tell me in the chat. I know someone will remember. It's so creepy at night too.
It says come on in and watch a free film about the book that started it all. Xenu Bless, ma'am.
Xenu Bless. Xenu Bless.
Xenu Bless. We don't have any fellas out on the farm where I live that look like you.
Holly Hobby. Was it Holly Hobby?
You want to come over and milk some cattle? So here's the parking lot right here. Looks like there's a couple extra spots for me to park my horse and buggy.
Do you do the communications class?
I do not do it, but I have done it.
Well, how can I become a part of this?
Okay, come with me.
Oh.
No, I'm serious. The person you need to talk to is at the very end of the building. We just go in the door and introduce you.
Okay, so I'm back at the science.
Oh, they tried to recruit her. And then the video ends. But I think it's safe to say that she did not go into the organization. Yes, Holly Hobby and Little House on the Prairie. Thank you, Nancy. That's exactly it, right? Love Maddie. Little House on the Prairie vibes. It's so funny. Xenu bless. Blessed be Xenu. What would it actually be? Would it be Xenu bless? Because you'd say God bless. Xenu bless. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Hey, Scientology up north. Good to see you. Okay, where am I? So now another sign, right? Another example of how in Scientology this would be called out PR. Office of Special Affairs. I feel like somebody should be writing reports because I don't know if y'all know what's happening outside the Hollywood Testing Center, but this is out PR. It is out ethics. It is out tech. It is out all of the things, and it's being recorded and shared on the internet. But you do you, boo. Keep doing this, Scientology, because we're having a lot of fun with it.
No, don't do it. See, this guy's a cult member. This guy's in a cult. See, he's running away because he's in a cult. You're in a cult. Look at you hiding. What are you hiding from? Why are you hiding from the public? No, don't do it. See, this guy's a cult member. This guy's in a cult. See, he's running away because he's
just mid-conversation. They're not even like trying to finish the conversation. This is a change in operating basis for Scientology. This is a whole new thing. It's like they are responding to people coming up to the Hollywood Testing Center and filming. And there's multiple. In fact, I heard that on TikTok, there's some very big creators who are doing just that. It's becoming a thing to just go to the Hollywood Testing Center and not necessarily even have to be there all day, live streaming and protesting like they did before for hours. Now, with enough people walking by, so many people are catching them with the doors open and filming it and causing them to shut the door. It's insane. Exactly, Love Maddie, proving that they are in a cult. Yeah, Don Moore, people have to be like, what just happened? Because can you imagine? You'd be like, I was out on Hollywood Boulevard and I was talking to this guy outside of Scientology and he was telling me about it. And then all of a sudden he left. He just turned away and went in a building while he was beeping. It just, yeah, Jesse, it's a whole new level of creepy and they don't see it. Office of Special Affairs, I'm trying to help you out here. Do you see how creepy it looks? But by all means, carry on, carry on, because these videos are going viral. Haggis Basher says, I wish we could get folks to do this all over the world, all the little tykey TikTokers. Yes, indeed. And they're starting to, just like there are people who have still been, still been protesting and live streaming Scientology. I think there's more and more going out and doing this in other areas too. They are. And if you see any clips like that, remember, email me, Natalie@lifeafteraccult.com. Send me a timestamp. Tell me what I'm looking at. It's a huge help because there's so much content to go through that there's no way I can cover everything. So I depend on you guys a lot for that. So then Scientology Audit Streets LA goes over to the blue buildings there on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And again, it is just weird. There's 2 Sea Org members out there and he has a conversation with them.
You guys in trouble? You're in trouble? You guys got in trouble? You guys got in trouble. Usually when you guys are out here doing this work, it's because some disciplinary thing, RPS. Unfortunately, I'm a suppressive person. I just happen to be coming down the street. You don't have to, you put the mask on after you sand? After you sand, but not before?
That's right. He put his mask on after the sanding and only when they're going in the building. What's up with that?
Anyway, you guys have a good day. Hey, how many years left in your billion-year contract? About 999,999,909. You guys in trouble?
Truly. And is it interesting too how there's 2 of them there, which makes me suspicious? because if it was a regular somebody who, is in the Sea organization out there cleaning something up, for one, I think the estates organization's uniform have more blue in it. These two are wearing all black. And usually, not every time, the ones wearing all black are on the Rehabilitation Project Force, which supposedly doesn't exist anymore. And the fact that there's two of them, not just one, why is that? On the Rehabilitation Project Force, you can't go anywhere alone. You got to always be with somebody. Now, it could be they're on the Rehabilitation Project Force. It could be they are with the estates organization and now they're wearing black all the time. They didn't back in my day. But either way, it's weird, it's strange, it's bizarre. And then the way he masks up and then just goes in there is kind of weird as well. So tell me what you guys think about that. That's right, old Fritz. Streets, the original and the best. Okay, now let's look at Breaking Scientology here. It did this incredible breakdown of Dr. David Minkoff. And Dr. David Minkoff has been involved in multiple now lawsuits because of his lack of good doctoring. Lisa McPherson, Whitney Mills, and there is someone else actually, I believe in Portland, that Aaron Smith-Levin at Growing Up in Scientology mentioned. So this guy just leaves a string of, honestly, a string of bodies behind him. So Breaking Scientology did a really cool breakdown. In my opinion, Dr. David Minkoff's Scientology completions tell a very deep and troubling story when viewed in the broader context of Lisa McPherson's death in 95 and Whitney Mills' unaliving in 2022. Minkoff is more than just a passive participant in Scientology. He is deeply indoctrinated, highly trained, and active operating Thetan level 8 Scientologist with decades of professional and spiritual investment into the church, including its most intense and secretive auditing levels. So he breaks down here, what is the core identity of Minkoff? He's an operating Thetan level 8, highest publicly available spiritual state in Scientology, attained aboard the Free Winds. This status is reserved for elite trusted insiders. He's done multiple L rundowns, which are crazy, ridiculous, expensive. Looks like he did all three. They're high-level rundowns focused on power and executive ability. That's really, I think, important to note there. He completed the Superpower and Cause Resurgence rundowns in 2015, both associated with heavy physical regimens and a controlled sensory deprivation environment known as the running program. He's a fully trained auditor and supervisor, including a Class 4 CS, which is a case supervisor in Scientology. That's the person who decides what somebody's next auditing step is. Now let's talk about his mindset. His mindset is almost certainly extremely devout, shaped by 3 decades of intense daily spiritual regimentation, culminating in solo neuromodulation, and that's from operating Thetan level 7. It just goes on to his medical blindness when it comes to auditing tech. There's a summary of his completions and then this conclusion. This mindset likely contributed not only to Lisa McPherson's preventable death, but also to the tragic end of Whitney Mills, whose actual mental state was likely reframed as a case of being a potential trouble source or out ethics to be handled with more auditing. So I'm going to link that down below so you can read the whole thing because it really lays it out and I feel like gives you a good profile of Minkoff, which I find absolutely interesting. Let's see. Go get 'em. Paranormal. Natalie, is there a Scientology building in Wisconsin? We were driving home from Children's Hospital in Milwaukee to Appleton and saw 3 cars with Scientology bumper stickers on their cars. Wow. There could be what's called the Scientology Mission, which is a smaller organization. There's not an actual, like here in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities, they call them, what do they call them? Class 5 organizations for Scientology. There's not one like that, but there could be a mission, or they could have been doing something with Scientology. That's interesting. Oh, and you took a picture of it too. Cool. Very cool. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting indeed. All right, now let's take a look at a family protesting Scientology on spring break. Today is the Friday night protest in Clearwater, which I love watching. I think a lot of you do. And Sandy McKenna from Sinners and Secrets spoke to a family last week. And this is fascinating, you guys. They were tourists and then they came out to help protest Scientology.
Need a family out here protesting. I mean, how awesome is that? So, Lulu, what brings your family out here? Spring break. So, what made you decide to protest rather than, hang out at the resort, that kind of thing?
Big fan of Aaron's channel and did a lot of digging into Scientology. I think this is a worthy cause. We obviously are a family and we don't want to be broken up, and we wouldn't want that for other families.
Oh, that's so nice. Now,
hear what she said? We wouldn't want to be broken up, and we don't want that for other families. This family is literally there doing this purely motivated by that, by the harmful practice of Scientology disconnection.
What about you, Edward?
Yeah, more or less the same. I first became aware of Scientology. I guess I was always aware of it, but when I watched the Going Clear documentary, that really, really brought home, how poisonous the organization it is, and I'm helping any way that I can out here.
Awesome. Now, Henry, you're a young man and you're on your spring break. Yes. So, what would you rather be doing?
No, I mean, I'm here with my family, so I'm happy, and I'm also on break, so I'm happy. I had time at an amusement park earlier this week, so I'm not complaining, and I think, like they talked about, it's a good cause, so I'm happy to be here. For me, it's dinner. I'll be coming downstairs. Mom's got something cooking on the stove, and I'll hear Aaron's YouTube channel going. So just things I've overheard in passing, very disturbing. Obviously not something that I'd want for other people. Scientology. Just even the basic surface level knowledge I have of it definitely gives you an uneasy feeling because it's best described as a cult.
Yep. Best described as a cult. You heard it right there. How adorable is that? Like, as a family with no ties to Scientology, but obviously all in on ending this cult. That was so heartwarming. It really was. Scientology up north is, it's nice to see new faces. Jen Cass, oh my God, that boy, he's so sweet. I love families like this. I agree. And good job, Sandy McKenna. Give some shout out and love to Sandy McKenna for that awesome interview there. It's amazing. A lot of people come up and talk to Sandy McKenna out there. I think she's very approachable. So yeah, give her some aloha and whatnot in the chat there. Okay, we got to share a little bit something that came out about the Pasta Queen. The Pasta Queen is a Scientologist. Her former husband has severe allegations, major allegations of him committing some essay against children. And now there's a bit more to that story that to me complicates it even more. Like, at what point, it really, for me, it poses a question of how much loss or harm or drama is it going to take for you to recognize that Scientology is not good? Listen to this. You're not going to believe what happened to the Pasta Queen's mother, who was a Scientologist.
Time around 2017, Nadia's succeeded in somehow convincing her mother to come back to Scientology. Nadia's mother came from Italy to Clearwater, Florida, to Flag to get back into Scientology, where she promptly had a stroke and died. Boom, dead. Scientology hates it when you die at the Flag land base. So that was not good. Sometime around 2000.
Can you believe it? I mean, your mom's not been online, and then she finally goes back to Flag and she passes away like that. In Florida, you have to meet certain added qualifications to do services at Flag. You can never have attempted or threatened to unalive yourself. That is one of them. And you have to have a level of medical clearance as well. to be on the base because of situations like this. But look at the unusual handling here. The handling by Scientology is not, you know what, let's make sure people see their doctors and let's make sure they get immediately help, whether it's mental or physical. That would be an appropriate like solution to Whitney Mills, Lisa McPherson, the Pasta Queen's mom, and countless others. But no, they don't do that. What do? They put it all on the person. Well, if you have a medical condition, like you cannot be here because we cannot take a chance of you dying here because we've had so many people die on the base. We can't risk that happening again. How is that the solution when you're supposed to be a religion, when you're supposed to be, you claim to be a group that helps people? It just makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know of another church that I'm aware of where you have to have medical clearance to be at that church. I don't. Do you guys? Somebody tell me if I got this wrong. I don't. I've just never heard of that, but we hear of it over and over again when it comes to Scientology. And it's super messed up. They don't actually address what the real reasons are. Like what the problem is. Exactly. Sandy McKenna, Scientology, where even your Nona isn't safe from the recruitment cycle. I would agree with that completely. Power Lies to Paralyze says plugged in e-meters during security checks do Billy Squire type things. Stroke me. All right, that's probably not funny, but funny given the context, but it's kind of, that always blew my mind. And when I was a Scientologist and I was aware of this, I was like, oh, and even then it felt weird and off that it would be that way. Because are you about helping people or are you about fully protecting yourself? Yeah, literally, Lisa, when a person dies on the base, it's always like, we don't know her. No, we don't know that person. We don't. That's right, Anna. When your doctors may or may not have an actual degree. I don't know, Scientology, maybe handle some of the reasons that people end up in these situations, like insist, don't stop them from seeking mental and medical help. Don't tell them that, well, you just need to do operating Thetan level 5 to handle those body Thetans. You got those space cooties causing you all kinds of trouble. No. Get them actual help, and maybe this won't happen to you so much. Ooh, Dusty says we have Canada at Flag tonight. Interesting. Cool. So it sounds like you're going to have some friends there. That's awesome. I want to share an update from the Save the Garden project, which we talked about the other day. We shared their amazing video with a call to action. Well, the Save the Garden project now has a petition that's up. You can sign our petition. I'm going to link it below at the bottom of this video as soon as I'm done. And then it is also in the chat here. I'll put it up in there. The Save the Garden, you can go and you can sign the petition. This is very important. This is for residents of Clearwater. So if you're not a resident of Clearwater, you don't need to sign the petition because residents of Clearwater are the only people the city of Clearwater are going to listen to because they are the voters, the people who will vote the city council in or out. We, the residents of Clearwater, stand for preserving our public land and honoring the rich African-American history, as well as the stories of all who lived, worked, and played along Garden Avenue. Say yes to a public green space for all, and no to giving more downtown land to the Church of Scientology. Let's protect our past and shape a future that reflects all of Clearwater's people. So if you are a Clearwater resident, you just do first name, last name, email, zip code. You can add some comments. Also on this website, whether you are a Clearwater resident or not, you can join their email list so you can get updates. That's on here somewhere. Here's how you can support the movement. You can make donations. They are a group of volunteers, and this month they need to raise money to cover the costs in planning, land use attorney, architect, park design, media, video production, website promotional items, and social media ads. So contact us. We want to hear from you. You can email them there. And there is a place on here where you can sign up for their newsletter as well. I just don't know where it is, but you guys will be able to find it. But if you are a resident of Clearwater, again, I'm going to link it down below after this video. Please go ahead and check it out, and hopefully you sign it as well, because as many residents of Clearwater as possible, the better. So if you know people, say you know people who live in Clearwater, maybe they're more on the beach and not downtown. They might not be aware of this. You can send it to them. They're still a resident of Clearwater. Julia, that's right. This is awesome for the residents of Clearwater. Nurse Lori donated yesterday. Thank you so much for that. Does it matter to you? Not to me. Is Mark Bunker aware of this? And does he have a way to email all Clearwater residents? I don't know. I do not know. We'll have to reach out to him and find out. Old Fritz has great historical info on that site about that area. Yep. Photos, videos, the history of Black Americans in that community, I think, is unknown to many. I didn't know about it. And it really gives new meaning to what they want to do with this memorial park there. And, we're going to see what happens. The city council meeting to make the decision on this will be May 15th. So mark your calendars, because that's something we're going to keep an eye out for. Let's see. Candace, wonder if they let the local media is aware of this, and maybe they can do a story on this. I do believe they are working on this, but anything anybody can do, in my opinion, this is a national story. This is national news. This is an organization a group of volunteers coming together to create this memorial park to honor the Black community. Again, Scientology, who wants to buy the street just to keep protesters off of it. That's the only reason I can think of. Scientology has not made it known to the city council why they're doing it, why they need the street. Even the mayor of Clearwater didn't know why they needed the street. Dusty says Mark Bunker is very aware, which I would have assumed. Dan, you got catch up. A lot happened in Clearwater. In fact, if you go watch my recap video on Wednesday, it would totally bring you up to speed. So check it out. And then I'm going to link down below, and you'll find out what this all means with the Save the Garden. Let's look quickly at just a couple of your responses from the question of the day, which is, what shows are you loving right now? And what should I check out? This one was all for me, because I'm like, sometimes I just want to zone out and watch a show, but I spend most of my time looking for a show rather than actually watching it. I watch some things, but I spend and then it's frustrating, because I'm like, now I don't have any time. I got to go to bed. So I want to know some shows. Oh, and tomorrow I'm going to do my recap. I'm going to have to do it early, because I'm going to go to something with my sister and my adult children tomorrow. 420 Easter is on Sunday, which is 420. And so we're going to a cannabis festival. So I want to do my recap before, and I think I have to leave the house tomorrow by maybe 10:30. So I might be doing a video tomorrow at like 9 or 9:30 in the morning. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. So what show should I be checking out? Julia says Heartland is an amazing family show. I've not heard of it. Okay. Abigail says not so much a show, but a game called Jackbox where you can play on a TV. Most people do. Yes, Abigail, I was looking into that. I need to look into that again. And thank you so much for your email with the details. And Abigail, I'm so loving the little mini blanket thing you sent me. I just wrapped myself in it. I love it so much. Thank you. James Steele, I am watching Black Mirror, except I fell asleep and now I got to go back. But I do. I love Black Mirror. And Bad Influence. Okay, I don't know that one. I loved Vikings and Game of Thrones. Okay, I've seen both of those, but could definitely watch them again. Ghost, love that show. And I'm not caught up because I don't have a Paramount live streaming subscription anymore. Bad Sisters on Apple. Okay, I've seen it pop up because I do have Apple TV. I got to watch that. Mythbusters. That sounds like something I would enjoy. Me and Taz, I enjoyed a great episode of someone making a cute craft this morning. Nice. The new Matlock with Kathy Bates on CBS or Paramount. Yeah, I don't have a Paramount link or subscription now. Cold Justice, Prosecuting Evil, both on Oxygen. It's true crime. Ooh. Jersey Jan says Yellow Jackets. I was watching that and then I stopped watching it. All right, I'm going to go through and keep reading these. And if you are on the replay, please do jump in those comments and let me know what you think about what shows should I be checking out, because I need to have a list of them. Otherwise, I spend all my time doing nothing for an hour, but just watching trailers, because I feel like I want to make sure it's a good one. Now, I am watching the new season of, is it The Story of Us on Apple? The Last of Us, I think. The new season is out and I'm super excited. So I'm going to be watching that. So keep your recommendations coming. Make sure you guys hit that like before you head out. And please hit that subscribe as well so we can spend more time together. In the meantime, I hope you guys all get out today and have an amazing cult-free day.